workaround technique so that we don't have report outs from each table that have a tendency to go on. And so instead, what we'll ask is that I'll just point to a table and ask you to give us just one of your ideas. And I'm going to ask that you don't explain it right now. That you just give the idea in its summary form, and then we'll take it from there. And so what we'll do is we'll go around a number of times and try to get any new ideas, go around until we get all of the unique ideas out on the floor for a conversation and see where we are at that point. All right? All right. So let's begin back table.
So a community that provides inspiration and support related to preparedness and business continuity to include and encompass research, scholarly activity, and academic instruction.
Perfect. Would you read that just one more time exactly as you did? So, if you don't mind standing, because just here, and just because this is exactly what we want, the statement that you wrote down, but twice like this is probably a good way for us to be able to catch more of it.
A community to provide inspiration and support related to preparedness and business continuity that includes or encompasses research, scholarly activity, and academic instruction.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So middle table. Guys, oh, what here? Yes.
So what we're envisioning is a network or platform for accessing and sharing knowledge, experience.
Do you mind standing? It's a little hard to do. Thank you.
So a network or platform for accessing and sharing knowledge, experience, and best practices related to disaster recovery and disaster preparedness and recovery. And we had some specific items underneath that. Can I share those that are related? No.
So would you read the top part one more time, and then we can decide? Read the top part one more time so we get the big idea.
So a network or platform for accessing and sharing knowledge, experience, and best practices relating to disaster preparedness and recovery.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. How about here? Do you mind standing so it makes it a little easier for us to hear someone stands when they say it?
We said by Rise 2020, we want to celebrate kind of a deep understanding of our local communities, their stories, their successes, their struggles, what resources that they need.
Perfect. So one more time? We're doing it? We're just
By Rise 2020, we want to celebrate a deep understanding of our communities, our local communities, their struggles, their successes, and their stories.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Here. One idea.
All right. So our idea is to imagine a transdisciplinary, transinstitutional, and transnational collaboratory that inspires students, not us, students, to find their individual passions, to imagine a future aware of a sustainable society, to nourish their curiosity, imagination, and exploration. Rise as a destination for completely obliterating existing paradigms that don't allow us to collaborate and keep on promoting the silos in which we are all forced to be, and really rewrite the future.
Okay, so the beginning part one more time, please.
Imagine, it sounds like a mouthful, but it's transcending the disciplines, the institutions, and the nations in a collaboratory. There's a definition for that. To inspire students, and you can add as many things that inspires the students. And Rise as a destination. It's a dream, okay? It's a destination that is constantly being done. So,
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you very much. Excellent. How about back here, the Venn diagram folks?
We covered a lot of the same what some of the other groups spoke about. Our specific recommendation was to develop an articulation agreement, a boilerplate, before disaster occurs. It allows students to be able to continue their degree studies in other schools when a disaster impacts a specific institution.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Over to this side.
Okay, they're all looking at me.
So you're in the stand, right? Do you mind standing? Thank you very much.
So we agreed that a goal coming out of this would be to learn ways to cooperate to decrease the numbers of casualties. We're never going to be able to fix everything, but what can be done to lessen the pain long term, what lessons are there. And we spent a lot of time talking about the fact that all the casualties are not in Puerto Rico, but the diaspora populations that are here trying to adapt to being here with very little support.
Could you say the beginning part of that one more time for us?
Decrease the number of casualties.
To decrease the number of casualties. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's come back over to the middle table. Another one from you? Something that hasn't been said? Is everything been covered out of your list?
This thing.
Yes.
We have all our sub-bullets and our targets.
So on our network platform,
Do you mind saying? Thank you very much.
on our network platform, we want to have approaches to place-based knowledge and repositories for relevant case studies and best practices regarding ethical, appropriate, and culturally sensitive actions.
Thank you. Great. So more additions on that. Okay, another one from here?
Okay, one of the things we would like to celebrate in Rise 2020 is to have new experimental partnership and programs that are highlighted, that we already set in place.
Okay, do you mind saying one more time to capture for everyone?
New experimental
And
partnership.
can you turn around maybe? Can we hold it for you? It's hard for people to hear, that's all. I just wanted to make sure people get
New
it.
experimental partnerships or programs that are highlighted in Rise 2020 that are already
That are already successful?
Exactly, that we started from today to next year.
So capturing success of programs that have been experimental.
Yeah.
Is that great? Okay. All right, so, back here.
I'm trying to decide what we haven't covered already. So it's a network of scholars, practitioners, public groups and organizations, and other stakeholders within our communities.
Thank you. Great.
Do you want me to repeat that?
Yes. I like the voice thing, it's like you hear it once and you get part of it, and then you get the rest of it.
It's a network of scholars, practitioners, and public group organizations and other stakeholders within our communities.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have another something over here? Have you captured
Do you want to go?
anything else?
Sure.
So this is similar to something a couple of the other tables have said, which is put together a list of best practices for disaster planning and response, particularly capturing case studies to share around between institutions. And you can see a lovely Venn diagram explaining what entails best practices, things like disaster research, application, resources, and other things. All of those represent.
Okay.
So there's a.
Oh, he's getting more detail.
Just to capture the main idea one more time.
So the relationship here is that for best practices, there are sort of three core areas that we've touched upon from what we've seen in this conference so far, which is disaster or emergency management and response research, those that are application oriented in the community, and those that are operational aspects within the educational institution itself. And then there's an overlap between these three.
Great, thank you. All right. Perfect. Okay, where are we? Background over here?
So following up our first, RISE as a destination for providing, as a destination and a platform for providing a learning experience and new paradigms of interactions and collaboration for students and faculty, administrators, and the communities, with interest in sustainability and resilience, not only disasters, and how to prepare for them, how to mitigate, response, and recovery.
Okay, one more time. With feeling. No, sorry.
RISE as a destination for providing, actually destination and platform for providing a learning experience for all, and a new paradigm of interactions and collaborations for students and faculty, administrators, and the communities they serve, with sustainability and resilience as a focal point of their attention.
Thank you.
Preparation to recovery.
Thank you very much. Okay, back over here again. Something else that you added? Yeah.
I'm deferring to you, please. Talk about your data for decision makers.
Okay.
Right.
We hope in 2020, RISE will be a link between policymakers, we provide data, and stakeholder, we're going to provide fast solutions.
Okay, one more time?
Oh, for me.
No.
Okay, in 2020, will become a link, RISE will become a link between policymakers, we're going to provide academia, we'll provide the data, stakeholder will need the data, and stakeholder will need fast solutions.
Fast solutions.
Quick solutions.
Well done.
So at this point, what I want to do is, what other ideas? Just raise your hand if your table has additional ideas that we have not yet surfaced. Go ahead, please.
So, for instance, here is,
Do you mind standing?
I'm my brother's keeper. And together we will rise. I think the thrust behind this was that so often when you get into tense, tight situations where you're trying to make things work, you end up with people who apply rules. And the rules don't work. So there's a flexibility and a compassion that's needed to kind of move things along and lead to true recovery.
Flexibility and compassion. Beautiful thing.
We have a motto.
You had a motto.
I am my brother's keeper, and together we will rise.
Oh, man. We got a little money on that one.
Okay, another. Is there another one from here?
Another one.
Okay.
One's a little less sweet. So, in 2020, we are celebrating the Green New Deal, and the increased commitment to taxing the rich, and thus hereby having adequate resources, financial, obviously, to go into disaster relief, emergency preparedness, because those funds are often divested. Something that I do want to add on to that is that we really do need to do the work. We're celebrating that we have successfully had a conversation regarding implicit bias and racism that exists within the networks of aid and relief and the lack thereof.
Okay, one more time.
In 2020, we're celebrating Green New Deal, increased investment into aid, relief, emergency preparedness, while also celebrating that we have these conversations about bias, race, and how racism or bias against ethnicity do play a major part in our response or lack thereof for disasters or emergencies, so on and so forth.
Thank you. More ideas.
I'll say one more. if you don't
Yes,
mind.
please.
So this actually, it's not mine, I think it's a very important story that we heard at this table. And I think it speaks to something that RISE can do, and I know we talked about our repository and communicating. The other piece is think about things we don't know. So the relocated people in New York City and how they maybe were treated or not treated so well. And so how do we, I feel like I learned just at this table, things that like, oh, that wasn't a part of it. And so it's part of the case study, all the little spokes that are going. And this conference allows for that, to hear about the other pieces of the disaster so that you can inform the next. So maybe higher ed can be the social workers who go in and do the assessments that didn't happen, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's where this conference is the networking piece that it seems to be trying to do, right? And being able to connect back to those things we didn't think about.
Right, so that's the key. The second time of that is learning about things that we didn't even know we didn't know. The RISE Network can provide that. Beautiful, okay. Other things. Have we gotten most of the big ideas on the table? Are there new ideas that were on your sheets that have yet to be voiced?
Just want to ask a question. You know, I've heard quite a range of ideas here about RISE, from combating social injustices, disaster preparedness, recovery, resilience, a new paradigm for education on the planet. I would say we have quite a challenge here, that if we are a representative sample, we're not sure what RISE is or what we want it to be. Is this part of a process
Yes.
through which by Wednesday we resolve and focus? Because without some focus, all these fantastic ideas might just dissipate in the air.
Yeah, this is a perfect question because we didn't set this up, right? But this was exactly how we were going to finish this hour, is to say, what are we going to do with this? So thank you for that opportunity to do that. And so what I will do is give a brief summary of that, and then I'm going to ask Jacob Mans, who has designed this and has worked with this process before, to speak to this as well. So what we are doing is we have these 3 days to dig in deep, to give us a lot of information, but it is just a beginning. It's just a beginning from this particular meeting with the idea that we have more work to do to come to some agreement about what makes sense to move forward. And Jacob?
Yeah, so today is really intended to get all the ideas out there, talk about our kind of broad ambitions, and we were trying to craft a concise, even if it's ambitious mission statement about what RISE could be. Tomorrow is all intended about specific changes that we need to make, policies, courses, and the reason why we're looking at administrators is because as a faculty member, I have a certain number of ideas on how I might implement these RISE concepts in my own research. But structurally, at the university level, that's why we're having these conversations with you. How do we need to make structural changes within our institutions to achieve some of these goals? What is realistic, not realistic? We all want to see things change, but as we move into the conversation tomorrow and get more specific about specific actions we need to take, we'll be trying to kind of tune it into something that can be operationalized and become more real. And then on Wednesday, what we're going to be looking at doing is, okay, if we have these things that we're going to do, how do we measure it? We're trying to work with more interdisciplinary teams, achieve these huge, global, ambitious projects. What are the metrics that we use to evaluate our success? If we're working on local pieces, how do we know if it's having a global impact? And that's the conversation that we're going to be having on Wednesday. So we're right where we were supposed to be today. Broad, ambitious, get it all out there, figure out what we think RISE can do. And then tomorrow we'll be, trying very hard to focus in on specific actions, changes we can make within our institutions to activate RISE. And then on Wednesday we'll be trying to figure out ways of measuring, the potential impacts that these changes will have. If that helps.
You have a question?
I have a question just about, so these ideas, getting them together, forming choosing some of them to focus on, and then measuring how successful they are. It seems to me there's a piece in there, the implementation piece. We're all going to leave here on Wednesday, or some of us earlier, go back to our individual institutions, think about all the wonderful things we learned here and how we're going to implement them. Is there going to be some central body that continues on until the next RISE conference in 2020 that basically actualizes all of these sort of ideas that we form, and how we get in touch with them, how do we learn things from them, to continue on getting additional information?
Absolutely.
So the answer to this is yes, yes, and yes. And the who that is us. And so this is one of these collaborative possibilities, collaborative network of us pulling together to do this. The National Council for Science and Environment is committed to being the home base of that platform. So this will become, it is already established as a program of the National Council for Science and Environment, and this effort will be actually transitioned into the really standing up of that platform or that network itself. And so the use of today, and in fact, that speaks to why one of the main reasons these cohorts are really important from last conference and with this conference. Relationship does matter. And this working together is who we are and what our elements are. So what we're doing here is hoping that over these 3 days, the primary idea is that you stick with the same cohort. You develop some little bit of depth about what these things are, and then we figure out collectively how we can carry them forward into the implementation stage. So there are some steps as we go through these 3 days following that, and then there will be opportunities to, we'll be talking about specifically, how can you do that with your institution, at home, and then collectively with us. And I do have something that I will share with you. And there are more of these, but we can pass these around. We have a couple on each of the tables, but this is about the program with NCSE, and it's a place to get that information. So, and with that, I want to thank everyone here for this time. There are more of these on one of the tables in the main area there. Does somebody mind handing these to the back table? Thank you. So thank you all for this time, this attention, this energy, this relationship building that we're doing. This is the beginning of a couple more days of an opportunity for us to get to know each other a little bit better, to get our ideas together, and I really appreciate the fact that we were able to come together, spend this time, and one people who finished early, and they hung out and waited here and share whatever they had to say. So really, really wonderful to have you all here this afternoon. Tomorrow, we'll continue with this at 4 o'clock. And Ethel Rios Orlandi will be here. I'll be here at the beginning and then stepping out for a bit. So I would look forward to seeing you at the dinner. We're heading now to the reception and then dinner and the dinner program this evening. So thank you very much. Anything you have to share with us, we'll take it.
Heads at the table talking and no conversation. essentially, no talking heads, mansplaining roles, except for this. I found this to be quite interesting. Oh, I agree with what you're saying. Okay, I'll do this. World, now you have
You know, like, think of policy, but, yeah.
you are going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and that is the path by all of their advisors at because we seem to only know about or if you're somewhere along the really, it is expressed just like that. Doctor or lawyer, you don't get into medical school.
San Antonio, the Jaguars. Followed by an system. So yours was more than that. Well, that's university. How long has it been there?
My wife,
10 years.
10 years.
I was like in psychology. When I was at Purdue, and now I have friends who are most of the students about stress management related to parents. Why are you doing here? Well, it's typically minutes here and trying to get into medical school.
I was there when I was groundbreaking.
Have this track and it's killing me. I'm a first generation. It's literally like it is amazing that put them under stress rather than drawing out their inner spirit and creativity.
I started asking questions.
It's a terrible thing. We gotta stop.
To find out how to navigate these agencies.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Come back.
However, thank you.
I was telling my table, this is the only part of the meeting that I've found enjoyable. Because I've been sitting all day listening to people and for a better, here's what I think, everybody sits and listens. That it's really uninspiring, uninteresting, oh my God.
Except for tomorrow's keynote lunch talk.
Is that you?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Cannot wait.
Look forward to that. No, I agree, that's the point here. Be able to give the opportunity, everybody, airtime, right?
Well, we had little rough articulating it after spinning around and then, okay, go, tell us your idea in a coherent way. But the spinning around was fantastic. Like, there were some really inspiring ideas. I'm just worried that all that happens on the periphery of getting through this schedule of the meeting.
Yeah, you know, we talked about actually doing these in the second half of the morning, as opposed to at the end of the day, because there's a thing about that. So in the middle of the day, you get all jazzed up, and then, you know, but, so we're going to be doing this again, we hope, as we go forward. So these ideas are really helpful.
Next year?
Next year, or, yeah, to kind
I
of
think
follow
the
up and.
One of the nice things too about this is that we actually close with a lot of the comments. So one of the final things that we talk about before the conference ends is the kind of readouts of what's happening in these groups. So it's like a definitive deliverable for what we're doing. It's not just the projects we're presenting.
From this,
From this idea.
not from the plenaries, not from the panels.
Honestly, the range of visions about what RISE could be or what success would be went from more thoughtful disaster recovery to let's completely reimagine education.
Yeah. big, that's a big range.
Yeah, well, the first one feels more like a federal agency should be doing that with input from scholars or something. The latter is really pretty exciting in a way, but maybe it's too big.
Well, you know what?
I really enjoyed it.
Nothing's too big, and that's, I think, the whole point of these kind of conversations is to be able to bring some of these to the table. And there are certain of us who will say, okay, I need to stay in this incremental approach, I need to stay with these little bits, because that's what works and it's where I can do what I do. And there are others of us who will pick up these big ideas and start moving them. And that to me is the beauty of the kind of interaction in these groups.
You know, I was thinking that a really useful piece